We spend our lives only knowing our relatives in relation to us. It's as if their lives didn't begin until we were born.
I spent my entire childhood looking at old photographs and home movies and wondering who these people were and what their lives were like. It wasn't until I lost two of my grandparents on both sides of my family that I realized that I didn't truly know who they were.
Each episode, I dive deep into the stories of Jerry Cole Jr., my father's father, and Ida Bell Jones, my mother's mother.
In these conversations about education, segregation, love, and community, I was able to really get to know my remaining grandparents while I still have them with me.
Well, I was the youngest of five children, and we lived in out here well, Halls Hill it was called then. I was born here. My father died when I was 8 years old. Before my father died, we moved from here, and because he wanted to have a farm. At first, we moved to Forestville. From Forestville, we moved to Branchville. And while we were in Branchville, that's where he died, because he was putting gas in his car, and he had a lantern, and somehow or another they caught a fire, and he tried to pull the car out of the garage, and he got burned. So he died within a week after that. He went to Providence Hospital. Like I said, when my father died, that changed a whole lot in my life. Changed me a whole lot, and it made me realize, that I had to grow up without a father, and because he was a big part of my life, but I got through it with Mama. My mother didn't have. She was just a housewife. She didn't have. Well, she did. She used to do laundry for white people, and we didn't have enough money. Yeah, she struggled. She had 5 kids. I was the youngest, 8 years old. Mm-hmm. My sister was 15, so she had really had her hands full.
Well, my daddy was named Jerry. I named my first son Jerry also. So we have Jerry the third as well. My daddy was a laborer. My first early memory of him was that he worked the oil fields of East Texas. When I was very small, we moved from North Louisiana and a place called Ada, Louisiana. We moved to Jonesboro, Louisiana, where he had a job with the local plant. It was a paper mill. Not long after that, he decided to go out on his own, so he produced the pulp wood. That is, he was a logger, and of course the mill made paper from those trees. I had two sisters, and the one that I grew up with was 2 years younger than myself. Lula was the sister, and she and I ended up in college at the same time. That is, she was a couple years behind me, but we were both students at Southern University at the same time. I graduated in 1950, and I went to work as a teacher of science at the Jasper Henderson High School, which was the little town 15 to 20 miles from Jonesboro. And I was inducted into the military in January of '51.
And so you got drafted?
I was drafted.
Okay.
This was part of the drafted system. But this was my first experience in an integrated system.
The only white person you saw was maybe the insurance man. So even as the years went on, the white people built a wall down the end of Cameron Street.
I was inducted into the military in January of '51. I served in a segregated unit to start with. In early '52, I guess it was, we were shipped overseas. And that was when I participated in the desegregation of the military. My whole group was white other than myself. And I was put in charge of an all-white group of young boys, young soldiers. Well, the military is a system, a hierarchical system anyway. So, first of all, if you have the rank and the responsibility and you know what you're doing, you pretty well have the authority built in. So I was fortunate in that regard. I'm not sure how they felt behind the scene, probably not very receptive, but at least on the surface, they carried out my responsibilities.
Well, they just thought I should have married somebody with, maybe of course, he was working. He worked at the Navy Yard, but he wasn't no, wasn't no up in the big people, and all. You know how they are. They want you to marry the best in society, And so I had to kind of fight against them too. Because I remember correctly when I showed her my marriage. We went off and got married, and she wouldn't even. For a while she wouldn't even look at the marriage license.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of had to, and we kind of had to fight against everybody. And my sister, she thought it was awful. It wasn't too long after I left school that I met your grandfather. I knew him all along. He was a cadet. Now, that's what I used to see him coming home in his cadet uniform, looking all sharp and all. Well, we used to have lawn parties. That was our thing. Every weekend, somebody had a lawn party, and that was a big thing. Oh, you going to the lawn party? Yeah, I'm going. I'll be there. So.
What were the lawn parties like?
They sold all kind of food and all. Then they had music. It was more or less like a get-together. We was at a lawn party one night, and we got together talking and all, and then from then on, that's when it started.
That's how it all started.
Yeah. We started dating and everything, and then we got married. I was 19, he was 22. Can you believe it?
And I went to work as a teacher of science at the Jasper Henderson High School, which was the little town 15 to 20 miles from Jonesboro. That's where I met my wife. We married on the 26th of December 1950. So today is my anniversary. Yeah, we had 63 years before she passed on. A beautiful relationship. And I was inducted into the military in January of '51. Just a week after getting married, I had to report to the Army. Shortly after coming home in 1953, we planned to build a house. We were told, as I was being separated, that we could use our GI Bill to borrow money from the local lending institutions. I was unable to get the loan. But my daddy was able to prevail on his bank to lend me the money, and so we borrowed $10,000 and built a house. And at that time, it was at the top of the community.